going to stay on that subject. In fact, for the business with Delano, that market reaction to those sanctions that have been slapped on North Korea, Delano.
That's right, Stuart. Asian markets are in wait-and-see mode this Monday. Investors waiting to see how Pyongyang responds to the latest round of sanctions. According to some estimates, they could hit the regime's $3 billion annual export revenue by 1/3. The Nikkei closed Monday's session in positive territory, up over 0.5%. Equally strong performance on the Hang Seng in Hong Kong. The Shanghai Composite up 0.2% at this hour. Next, tensions are running high in Silicon Valley. This after an unnamed Google engineer circulated a 10-page document inside the company. In it, he alleges that Google's left bias has created a politically correct monoculture. He goes on to say that the abilities of men and women differ in part due to biological causes, and these may explain why we don't see equal representation of men in technology and leadership. Google executives have meanwhile denounced the memo, saying it advances incorrect assumptions about gender. Now, food safety authorities in Belgium have admitted to knowing about the contamination of eggs from Dutch farms in early June. This several weeks before the issue was made public. The food safety scare is affecting several countries in Europe. Millions of eggs have been pulled from supermarket shelves in Germany and Belgium, as well as the Netherlands. Berlin is frustrated that Belgium took so long to inform its neighbors of the pesticide contamination. Now, the Netherlands is the largest exporter of eggs in Europe. Each year, the country exports 65% of some 10 billion eggs.
Going to talk about Kenya now on the programme. Presidential elections are being held there on Tuesday, in fact. The economy is pretty high up on voters' minds.
It is indeed, Stuart. Kenya is East Africa's economic powerhouse, but despite becoming more and more prosperous, wealth is not being equally distributed. Youth unemployment, for instance, remains high, and around 40% of the country remain below the poverty line. Alexander Okot reports.
In a high-stakes election, Uhuru Kenyatta has put the economy at the heart of his campaign. The incumbent president has gone on an infrastructure spending spree. During his 5-year term, he's built over 10,000 kilometres of new roads, as well as a new railway linking the capital to the coast. The new Chinese-built line, known as the Madaraka Express, has cut the journey time from Nairobi to the port of Mombasa from 12 hours to just over 4, and will eventually extend into other parts of Africa.
So the investment in the railway, which was the biggest single investment made by Kenya Inc. since independence, was very big, but also was intended to cement Kenya's geopolitical transit state position.
Kenya has seen GDP growth consistently above 5% during Kenyatta's tenure, but the overall picture is more complicated. The infrastructure projects have led to a huge increase of debt, above 50% of GDP. Meanwhile, endemic corruption continues to be a drain on the economy, and growth has failed to benefit the poor. With the election imminent, many people are struggling with a sudden increase in food prices.
They're worse off because the cost of basic commodities in most African countries has gone way higher than inflation. Right? So if you're earning $100 a month, $50 you spend on food, food inflation is 20–25%, you've got very little left.
Uhuru Kenyatta may have helped secure strong and consistent growth, but many Kenyans who are waiting to feel the benefits have developed a new saying: you can't eat GDP.
Now to a story about senators here in France. They're going to actually have the option of becoming interns come September, aren't they?
Indeed, they will. For between 2 to 5 days next month, they can head to a small and medium-sized company. The aim is to better understand the local economy and how small companies function. The senators will not be paid for the internships, nor will they be allowed to work in their constituencies. The aim is to get real-world experience without politicizing the internship.
Pretty good idea to me. And we're going to head down under for the last story from Delano. The gender pay gap is being tackled there in a rather different way, isn't it?
You could say it's being tackled one order at a time. A vegan cafe in the Australian city of Melbourne is asking men to pay 18% more than women. The owner of the Handsome Her says so far no one has refused to pay the tax, which is optional. The 18% premium goes to a non-profit women's service group.
I wonder if they did that here in the canteen.
I don't know if they
Possible.
do it in a coffee shop here. What would you do? Would you pay 18%?
Well, it depends if there is a pay difference between men and women in the first place here. I don't know whether there is.
I don't know.
We will make no comment. Very quickly move on.
Let's
Thank you.
quickly know.
Yes, Delano to see that they were business.